Western New York at Work has been a leading force in bridging the gap between small business and the community. Originating as a radio show hosted by local leader and entrepreneur Dale Martin, Western New York at Work has covered the local events that make Buffalo the cultural hub that it is. Dale Martin and Western New York at Work have been at the forefront of sports, jobs, economic development, and always the people that make it happen. Western New York at Work continues to create new excitement and innovative paths, as seen with the addition of co-host Lauren Lewis, and of course its signature event partners with a shared vision, which is redefining the meaning of true collaboration, leadership, and making Buffalo even better. From Jefferson Avenue to the South Towns, together, we are Western New York at Work.
Hi, welcome to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Lauren Lewis. I'm Lauren Lewis with my wonderful co-host, Dale Martin. Hi, Dale, how are you?
I'm doing great, and yourself?
I'm great, thank you.
Fantastic.
Always good to see you.
You as well. And today's guest, we have Jane Calvert, food-focused nutrition. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Western New York at Work, where we always have some very interesting conversations. You know what? And the conversations are based on our guests. And today we have Jane Calvert, who's an RD. So welcome to Western New York at Work.
Yeah, welcome to our show, Jane. Thanks for joining us today.
And before we go any further, let's make sure that we welcome our audience. It's Dale Martin and Lauren Lewis on Western New York at Work TV.
Yep.
Lauren, hello.
Hi, Dale. How are you?
Good. And for our viewers out there, what type of work do you do?
Oh, Staff Buffalo. We're Buffalo Works. We're a local recruiting company.
Oh, you help people find jobs.
We help people find jobs. And we help our clients, which are the companies and hiring managers, find great people to work for them.
So, Lauren, what do we have going on today?
So, yeah, I'd like to thank Jane again for joining us. Jane, I'm super excited to have as our guest on the show today because Jane has a business called Food Focused Nutrition, which I think is super important because food is confusing. And I love food, but I also, you try and find the balance of what works best in your life, but try and stay healthy, get your nutrients in, but also you want to have a little fun too.
And be able to have a meal that you can sit down to with your family. It's easy.
So important.
Isn't hard to put together at the end of the day. Like, if you're working 9 to 5 and then you still have to get home and cook, you need to feel like that's something that's easy, like that's something that you can still do.
Jane, why don't you tell us a little bit about food-focused nutrition?
Sure.
And what you do to help people navigate the food world.
Absolutely. So food-focused nutrition is a company that I started about 1.5 years ago so that I, as a registered dietitian, could work with my clients in their kitchens and whatever barriers they're encountering, whatever struggles they're having with putting dinner on the table, or feeling like they're having a healthy lunch, or feeling like they can eat breakfast on their way out the door to the bus, right? Or whatever is going on. We talk about what their relationship with food is, and we talk about where they want that relationship to be, and then we set up a series of kitchen adventures where I come be their sidekick right there in the kitchen, and we work towards whatever those goals are.
In today's world, how many people are on the go all the time? They skip meals, they skip breakfast, and that, to me, that's such an important meal. I eat breakfast every single day, and I sit down and eat it, but it does take a lot of time.
It does, and the busier we are, the more unhealthy of a lifestyle that, in terms of bad habits that we develop. And so what you provide is the actual component to have a well-balanced life.
Where do you start with people when they come to you?
So in games where you go on adventures, often role-playing games, there's usually a session 0 where you create your characters and start telling the story, and that's where I start with all my clients. I work with them to figure out what their story is. I want to find out. I mean, obviously, I'm going to ask like basic questions like, well, are there any foods that you can't eat because of dietary restrictions or allergies or just not liking them? And that's okay, right? We don't have to feel bad about if we don't like Brussels sprouts or if we don't like kale. So I'll get like basic stuff like that, but I'll also, I'll sit down with my clients and we'll talk about what their relationship with food is. And everybody's got a different relationship with food, you know, and it starts when we're very young. You know, you might have a parent who tells you, you got to clean your plate, you know, or no dessert, you know, and that helps develop whatever our relationship with food is when we get into adulthood, when you get into sitting down with me for a session 0. So once we talk about food relationship, then I can get a feel for what my client's food relationship actually is and what they want it to be, right? If they want it to be counting carbs, which can be really important, especially if you're diabetic, right?
Right, true.
You know, or if they want their relationship to be, I just don't want to stress about food. Which,
so that being said, is there a recommended daily calories that individuals should strive for or have or not have?
There are formulas that any dietitian can use to calculate an estimate of what each person should have. Each person is different. So it's all of those calculations can give someone a guideline. Absolutely.
Because
I don't.
And I ask the question only because athletes tend to take on more calories versus someone who's not athletic.
Absolutely. And activity plays a factor in what those caloric recommendations would be. I, at Food Focused Nutrition specifically, don't use those numbers with my clients because I want to work with my clients and focus on the food. I don't want to focus on the numbers that are behind the food or that are included on them.
Numbers.
Exactly. Because if we're focusing on the numbers, there's a chance that we can get really hung up about things like weight on a scale. That's not what we want to have because those things induce a lot of feelings of food shame. And I'm trying to really work on eliminating food shame as much as possible.
So, in your expertise and estimate, what is a well-balanced diet? And I know it varies based on the individuals.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So a well-balanced diet is where a person feels comfortable with what they are eating on a day-to-day basis. They feel like they have energy. They feel like they can indulge without feeling guilty about it. My goal is to help my clients find a healthy relationship with food, right? And balance is going to mean something different to each of them.
Yes, you know,
For sure.
For example, for myself, I love fruit. So
Fruit's amazing.
I have bananas, I have strawberries, and pineapples every day.
Some of my favorite fruits are right there.
I think I overdo it, but I'm not sure if that's a well-balanced diet or the way I should start my morning off, which is what I do.
I mean, it's not a bad way at all. If you're happy and if you're comfortable with it, then it's absolutely fine. And that's part of your balance, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I can indulge and feel good about myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And you can have a piece of cake too later.
Oh, I can?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And stay focused.
Yep. I think that's why it's so important what you are doing, Jane, because every single person is different, and I love that you take a personalized approach to each person, and considering that, and try to eliminate really that food shaming because there's so much of it in our society.
Yeah.
You see it everywhere, and I think food is great, and food is a great way for people to engage together.
It makes you feel
Families
good.
sit down and have dinner together. And you want to be able to enjoy those moments and not feel stressed by the food you're putting into your body.
So for our viewers out there, because they're watching today's show and they want, what's their biggest takeaway? What do we want them to make sure they walk away with, other than an appetite?
I would love you to be hungry. Well, Food Focused Nutrition is here to provide you with a kitchen sidekick. So whatever it is that can help you feel more confident in the kitchen, Food Focused Nutrition is here to be able to provide that. And that includes providing absolutely no food shame. It means that whatever the barriers are you're struggling against, we're going to find accessible ways to get around them and to find a way to still meet your goals.
And you want to work with individuals that are looking for what, once again?
Yeah, I work with individuals who are looking to change something about their food relationship. So whatever your relationship with food is, when you are going through a change, whether it's kids have gone off to college and now you have to cook for fewer people in your house, but you're used to cooking for growing teenagers, or you know, maybe you just went through a divorce and things are changing, or a medical diet means that the way you cook has to change. Anytime you're going through a change like that, food-focused nutrition is specifically designed to help with that.
Awesome.
And in addition to that, very quickly, because we are going through a season change,
Yes.
moving into the springtime, are there any healthy eating tips that you can share?
Oh gosh. When seasons change, the thing that I get most excited about is local produce. And there are so many local farms in the area. A lot of them have CSAs, community share agriculture, and you know, check them out if that's something that's affordable and accessible for you, because they have some of the most amazing produce.
Yeah. Jane, I know sometimes people think that eating healthy and learning how to eat healthy can be expensive or too expensive for them and they can't afford it. How do you work with those people?
Oh, absolutely. So as a dietitian, I'm really conscious of the fact that people might not feel like a dietitian services are financially accessible, right? So I actually at Food Focused Nutrition have a Pay It Forward scholarship. My clients and my current clients, and I'm accepting donations all the time, can pay it forward so that clients who may have financial barriers can apply for a scholarship to have Pay What You Can services.
Well, Buffalo, you've been watching Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Lauren Lewis, and today we had Jane Calvert, RD, which stands for?
Registered dietitian.
Okay, and if you're hungry and you want to be healthy, what should they do?
You can find me at www.foodfocusednutrition.com. I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, and I provide a live video series called On the Chopping Block, once a month. Next one is coming up on April 6th. It's the first Monday of every month. Awesome. And I just chop every food item in my house because I want people to see that prepping food isn't scary. It can be done quickly if you know what to do, and you know, maybe you'll pick up some tips or tricks or ask me questions because it's a live video. So yeah, Facebook, my website, and you'll find other contact information from me on there. Hello everybody, I'm Jane Calvert with Food Focused Nutrition, and welcome to my kitchen. You're right here in it. It's a pretty intense time, and it's making it hard for me to focus a lot. I don't know how it might be making you all feel lately, but I mean, this is a check-in, okay? How are you? How are you feeling? I wanted to make sure that I can remind folks that Food Focused Nutrition is here for whatever you need having to do with food right now. Whether you're having trouble dealing with limited supplies in your grocery stores, whether you're having trouble with figuring out what to make in your pantry because you haven't been able to go to the grocery store because you can't leave the house, or what have you. And I also want to remind folks that I work with people over Skype as well, and a lot of my distant clients, we do some really great work together, cooking and chopping and things like that. So let's get a look at the chopping block, and we'll get started.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back to Western New York at Work. We are airing live in the Embassy Suites in the Avant building in downtown Buffalo.
Well, speaking of awesome, we have an awesome guest in studio with us today, Mr. Greg Liberto, who is a performance coach. Greg, welcome to Western New York at Work.
Thank you, Dale. Appreciate being here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely,
Good morning, Lauren.
Greg.
So, Greg, share with our audience and a little bit about who you are and what the type of work you do.
Sure. So, as a performance coach, I help people essentially achieve what they desire, and I've been in coaching for about, I think this is my 11th year now, and was in corporate training for about 10 or 12 years prior to that.
Now, the words that come to mind when I hear performance, I immediately go to sports. Okay, is that the type of consulting and work that you do? Is it connected to sports or something else?
Both, yeah, actually. So I work with competitive athletes as well as business leaders. So we're all performing every day, right? And we perform in different ways. We might not necessarily think of it as performing, but we're all going about our day in a certain way. Some of us want to achieve a higher level. So certainly have a background in working with competitive athletes has helped me become a better coach for business leaders, but it's essentially for anybody who's looking to achieve a higher level in their life.
Now, walk us down the journey, the Greg Liberto journey. Is this a company that you have recently started, or have you been in business for a number of years? And just kind of
Sure.
bring us along your journey.
I'll keep it real simple. So my formal education is from Rochester Institute of Technology, otherwise known as RIT in Rochester. So my degree was in imaging technology, and I worked in that field for a little bit, so I'm familiar with what we're doing here in terms of videotaping and the lighting and such. But I found out that a few years afterwards, I guess that wasn't really my passion. I got into corporate training in 1995, had my own company in the Larkin building for a number of years, and when we closed the doors on the training company, which was in '09, it was a natural migration to go into coaching, because I was doing different programs in and around personal development to small groups from a training perspective. Really enjoyed it. I saw the impact that it was having on me and thought that, hey, this is something that I would like to do full time. So ironically, and still to this day, I'm not even sure how it happened, but my first client was a junior golfer, a high school golfer, a female golfer in Rochester. We worked together that summer, and she was awarded a Division I golf scholarship that fall. So I was just hooked right from the beginning, and like I said, I've been doing it now for about 10 or 11 years and absolutely love it.
And Greg, you spend a lot of time with athletes, professionals, upper level management, business owners. What's the biggest thing or biggest commonality you see between all the types of people you work with?
It's a great question, Lauren. So I would say that the first thing that comes to mind is that most people are not making themselves their number one priority. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of people who want to do great things for other people, whether it's their family members or friends or business colleagues, but they're not necessarily taking care of themselves as well as they could. So it's about, and it's not selfish, it's more of doing more of the things for yourself that you should. So maybe it's either working out or eating healthier or getting the proper amount of rest or surrounding yourself with more positive people or putting yourself in a more positive environment. All of those things, I think, are not being made a priority for most people.
How do they make those changes? And how do they realize what they should be doing and start implementing the changes? It's got to be a difficult process for them if they've been set in their ways.
It can be for some. So I tell people all the time, the three things that, in my perspective, that you need to achieve a higher level is you need to have the desire, right? I mean, people wouldn't talk to me if they didn't have the desire.
Right.
You have to have some level of discipline already, and most of the people that I'm working with do because they're already at a pretty high level. But then you also need some knowledge, and that's where I come in and sharing not only the information, but the framework, the methodology, and the process. So I use electronic and printed tools to help make that happen. I've been fortunate. I have about a 95% client satisfaction rate, which
Awesome.
I'm very fortunate to
Great,
say.
yeah.
But there are some people that, like I say, aren't necessarily going to do the push-ups. I can't make them put in the daily effort all the time.
Right.
I just try and create for them the best program. And yes, there's a template and a process, but I customize it to each individual as best as possible. I was just going to ask, what would you say is the one thing what's the number one thing that you think most candidates can do to improve their resume or their image or their brand? And I don't know if that's too loaded of a question.
Well, the one thing I think, it does come down to consistency. And it's not just, it goes beyond your resume, because the resume is just the black and white, but it's, building your brand. And that goes to using LinkedIn to connect with different professionals, share content on LinkedIn, comment on other people's content, taking your brand to networking events and establishing those in-person relationships with different people in the network, especially in a city like Buffalo. The people you know, the people you talk to can really make a big difference for your career and maybe finding your next job. So I think
Consistency
along those lines for job seekers is huge.
So Greg, so anyone that's listening to watching today's show, and he or she says, you know what, there are 3 things that I'm looking to accomplish, or if there are 3 things you can think of, how you can help individuals, what would they be?
So from a high level, it's having a strategy and a plan, right? You have to know how you're going to get to where you want to get to. You have to have a strategy and a plan. That's at the highest level. At a more granular level, it's getting committed to doing one new activity on a daily basis. And the reason that is so effective is because 90% of what we do each day is the same as what we did before. So we're all creatures of habits, right? We're all emotionally driven, and we do a lot of the same patterns and habits throughout the day. So when you start doing one simple new activity a day, it takes you out of your comfort zone.
Right.
It creates new thought patterns, new motor patterns, but has you taking new activities or doing new activities that are inspired by a more creative thought process. So if I could give a blueprint solution for somebody, high level, like here's your prescription, leaving the doctor's office, what do you need to get to where you want to be? Have a strategy and commit to doing one new activity a day.
So Greg, give us an example of one of your success stories.
Well, Dale, the thing I wanted to actually share is, as Lauren was saying, that is, about constantly growing. I have to give you props. And I know this is going to put you on the spot, and you're not prepared for this at all.
Put him on the spot, Greg.
Here's somebody, like, how long have we known each other? About 10, 11, 12 years,
least, yes.
right? We both became acquaintances in the training industry here locally, but I've seen you grow, I've seen you evolve, and now having your own TV show, I mean, to me, that's a very good representation of, this isn't me, you doing this is not a result of me coaching you, I'm not saying that, but this is a result of you putting in the effort and the consistency and having the fortitude to get through some challenging situations. Like Lauren said, certain days when you don't want to train, you show up every week for your Sunday morning radio show, which I think is very impressive. You've been doing it, for 10 plus years now?
Yes, 10 years.
And now to migrate or to evolve that into a TV show, to me, that's impressive because it says consistency, it says discipline, it says desire.
And focus.
And focus, right?
Yes.
So that's a lot of what I help share with other individuals, is helping them get to a higher place and a higher level. And I quite honestly think that you're a perfect example of that.
Those compliments and comments mean a lot to me. However, I have to say, it also starts with the company you keep, okay, and the individuals that you are associated with. I didn't get to this platform without the assistance and help, guidance, and examples that the individuals around me, so I mirror what I was a part of. And so I couldn't be here if it wasn't for Lauren Lewis and yourself. So I give credit where credit is due. And that's the people that I would like to mirror in terms of their core values, in terms of their strength, and where they're trying to go in their respective careers.
It's awesome. And you're doing a great job at it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so Greg, why don't you tell us, you talked about the importance of someone doing one thing differently each day. What are some examples of that one thing that people can do to do something different each day and continue to grow themselves personally and professionally?
Great question. So I like to keep things ultra simple, Lauren, and it could be something as simple as, I know a lot of us check our cell phones the first thing when we wake up in the morning. So a new thing could not be checking your cell phone first thing in the morning. Another new thing could be not bringing your cell phone into the bedroom at night. I'm a big proponent of having your bedroom be an electronics-free zone. So I know it's a very addictive device, but the more that you can do to keep yourself away from that, again, simple, but things that take you out of your comfort zone, right? Another thing could be to just go to a different place to start your morning every day than doing the very first thing that you normally do. So if you go into the bathroom very first thing in the morning, maybe go into the kitchen. Or if you go into the kitchen, go into the bathroom. You know what I mean? Just change it up. For salespeople, A great thing to do that's ultra simple is smile before you pick up the phone.
Yes.
Because it changes your tone of voice,
You
makes
can
you feel better.
definitely hear a smile over the phone.
People pick up on it. The other thing is to write down one thing that you're grateful for a day, take a different route to work. I know it sounds silly, but that's the very first thing that I did when I started doing. I just walked backwards in my house, like up and down my living room, because it just felt different, right? It took me out of my comfort zone. I know it sounds silly, but in that time I came up with a really good idea, and I did it for, I don't know, like a minute or whatever. So it's about taking a very small amount of time to step out of your comfort zone. And doing that on a daily basis creates new thought patterns and allows you to look at things from a completely different perspective. The feedback that I've received from business professionals and athletes that are doing this is that they're gaining momentum. They have more self-belief. They know they're becoming more disciplined. They're more energetic.
Yes.
And they just feel better because they know that they're doing something new, and they're just building this momentum.
And Greg, for anyone that's looking to improve their lifestyle on a professional level or personal level, how can they reach you?
Sure. My best way is through email. It's greg@greglibertofocus.com, or if they want to contact me directly, it's 716-830-0808. And I would love the opportunity to talk to you, see if we're a good fit for each other, and see if I can help you achieve a higher level.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, Buffalo, you are watching Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Lauren Lewis, and you may have heard the phrase before, where we talk about sports, jobs, economic development, and always the people that make it happen. And now we're going to add a lifestyle twist to it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next Saturday.
With the coronavirus at the top of everyone's mind currently, it's extremely important to not only stay healthy, but to focus on this as an opportunity to improve your health. So a couple of recommendations that I have to do so are: number one, increase the amount of water that you're drinking on a daily basis. The best way to do that is to start your day with a glass of water. And number two, set a physical goal for yourself. Identify something that you want to achieve. So for example, in my life, I've been using this as an opportunity to lose a couple of inches off my waist. It's something I've been thinking about for years, and I'm now doing it. I'm eating better, I'm eating healthier, less sugar, less flour, more water. Use this as an opportunity to improve your health by increasing your hydration and setting a goal that you can achieve.